What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. So, obviously, win today is good, and we need it. We need the 3 points, especially at home against Luton. But to be perfectly honest, it doesn't really ease my fears for this season. Honestly, it feels very reminiscent of the wins that we got last season, where very nervy, not really convincing, nothing to get me excited about the next game because it feels like once we face a better team, we're going to have the same issues that we always have. We get the goal, we can't put the game away, we don't put the game away, we don't put the game away, and then all of a sudden they capitalize on one of our defensive mistakes or insecurities, and boom, goal. And a better team probably would, because Luton had quite a few chances that we gifted them that they didn't put away. And I feel like, West Ham we saw last weekend, they put their few chances that we gave them away. So, yeah, overall, it's not anything for me to get excited about personally. There are a couple positives here and there, but for the most part, I don't see the differences between this season and last season. The manager is new, the players are mostly new. I still look at it and I still see these same problems we've always had ever since Sarri came in. We're just that same boring possession-based team that loses any sort of creativity in the final third, outside of one player most of the time. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on with Pochettino. I thought he was going to be the manager that might come in and maybe get us going, maybe get the team really excited and constantly just looking to be a threat and more exciting. But no, it's kind of the same. We saw it last weekend at West Ham, and saw it here in between the first and second goal. That's basically what it was. It was all possession, lack of wanting, desire to go forward, it looked like, and Luton just capitalized on that. And if they had a little bit more quality up front to put away the goals, I don't know what would have happened. That one that's deflected off of Gusto and Sanchez made the save on. If that had gone in, I honestly don't know what the outcome would have been. I don't know if they would have had the confidence to go and get another, or if it would have just stayed at 1-1. But I highly doubt we would have gotten a win if they had equalized there. So it's concerning to see that we're still there. Now, the one thing that is a bit of a hope for me is once the players that are all out on injury, because obviously we have a long injury list at the moment, once they've returned, hopefully we'll see a bit better, because there are a lot of players here that, not that they're bad, but I just don't see them in a starting lineup, like when Nkuku comes back or when James comes back, when Mudryk is fully available. I think the lineup probably looks a little bit different, with Badiashile and Fofana in defense. Maybe a little bit more comfortable, maybe a little bit more quality out there. But that's about the only thing I have hope for right now, and even then, there's no guarantee that they won't come in and then immediately get injured again, because we seem to pick up those players that have chronic injuries. So, yeah, it's just I'm still not really excited for this season yet. I lost it last weekend, and it hasn't really come back after today. So, but anyways, getting into individual performances, Sanchez, overall, he did okay. He did make the one really good save that kept us in the game, deflection off Gusto. Not convincing, but it is one that it's surprising. You see the shot coming down low, and all of a sudden it pops up, and you have to react to it quickly. So I wish it would have looked a little bit more convincing than him just sort of slapping at it. But at least he made the save. The concern I have for him is he looks like he doesn't know positioning very well. Like, there are so many times where he looks like he's not where he needs to be. There are two in particular I can think of where he was completely caught out. One, ball over the top, and he thinks he can get to it. He's nowhere near it, and then the Luton striker puts it over. And then another one, corner, he comes out, flaps at it, nowhere near it, and thankfully defender heads it away. But those are two moments that, especially coming from somebody who used to play defense and had a couple of keepers behind me that did not know what they were doing as far as when to come out and when to stay, it really causes a lot of stress and a lot of insecurity, unsuredness. I don't know. But you don't really know what to do when you get in those situations now, because you don't really know where he's going to be, because he's always all over the place. Sometimes he'll be out, sometimes he'll be back. You're never really sure where he's going to be. And that can lead to a lot of moments where, especially with high-pressing teams, you got to make a split-second decision. If you don't know where your keeper's going to be, you're going to be caught in no man's land. And unfortunately, Sanchez, it looks like he's that type of keeper. He has quite a few of those instances in him. So, yeah, I hope, I know we got Petrovic, I think his name is. I think he was at Fulham or Newcastle. I think. He's not a name that instantly comes to mind, so I guess we've gone again for another younger, not world-class keeper, hoping that they'll grow into a world-class keeper because it worked out so well with the last one that we did. But I'm hoping he'll be better than Sanchez and hopefully push. I don't know. I'm not convinced by Sanchez from these first 3 games, honestly. In the back, Disasi, Silva, and Colwill again as a back 3. On the one hand, I feel like it's a decent back 3. On the other hand, I'm thinking I don't feel like we look that good going forward with a back 5, with the wing backs. I don't think we look that creative. I think the 4-2-3-1 we had in preseason, we looked very creative. We looked energetic. We got the ball forward very well. So I don't know why Pochettino's decided, let's stick with this back 3. Let's keep going with the 3 and the wing backs. I don't get it. I feel like we've got the players, we could do a back 4, and we could be effective with it. So it's very odd to me that we, again, played all preseason with a back 4, and now we don't have a back 4. But Disasi, still kind of up and down. He has a couple decent moments here and there, but then, he nearly gave away a great chance for Luton at one point, just dwelling on the ball too long. So, yeah, it's just, he's going to be one of those players that, kind of like Koulibaly, he's okay. He'll get the job done against the lower teams, but I don't know if I trust him against the better teams. I feel like his tracking, his ability on the ball, I don't think kind of measures up to those top level teams. So I think he will be a problem for us in those games, unless he grows into it. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, just kind of an average game for him today. Silva, as always, looked very comfortable, looked very assured in the back. I do think he looks better in a back 3 personally, just because I think he is able to sit deeper and be that kind of cover defender and read the game like he does so well. So maybe that's why Pochettino's decided to go with the 3, is to bring the best out of Silva. But he did what I don't know why I can't talk today. He did what he always does. He's very just assured, reads the game well, and cuts out any balls over the top that we have to worry about that came down the middle. Then Colwill on the left side, it did okay. Still looks a little young. There are a couple moments where you can see the youth and the naivete, just not quite reading the game well, getting dragged out of position a couple times. But he does okay. And I feel like the more he plays, the more he'll grow into it, the more he'll get used to playing and get used to this level as well. So I can see where the potential is for him, and I can see why a lot of people are excited to see more of him. On the right side, Gusto, I've taken to labeling him as the right-sided Cucurella. And a lot of that comes down to Cucurella, for me, one of many issues that I have is he's typically the one when he's in that likes to go backwards. Gusto does the same thing. In fact, there are a couple times where he's the one breaking out, and then he puts his foot on it and decides, hey, you know what? We don't need to break out right now. I know we're only a goal up and that Luton are threatening us, but let's keep possession a little bit more, guys. Let's put it back behind the 5 players that we got behind. That's a good plan. And then defensively, there are moments when he's getting outrun, outmuscled. I know he's young, but why are we bringing in these players that are not at this level? Now, granted, he has more of a chance than Cucurella, I think, to grow into this level and be able to play at the Premier League level, because Cucurella is already 25, I think, I'm pretty sure. So he's already he should be at this level, and he's not. Gusto is only 19 or 20 or something like that, so he still has a chance to grow. He's got a few more years to get up to this pace. But early days are not looking good for him, and knowing he's the backup for James makes me wonder, what are we doing? What is our physio team doing to not keep James healthy, and what is our transfer team doing to get this guy as our backup? On the left side, Chilwell honestly wasn't really involved as he should have been, and then the few moments he was. Wow, my brain is just not working today. The few moments he was in the game, he just was not. He wasn't at the same level I'm used to seeing him. He was just the one big one, of course, is when he's through on goal, 1-on-1 with the keeper. All he's got to do is just basically pass it in, and he decides, I'm going to try to pass it to Sterling, who's behind a defender right now. Yeah, I felt like the Chilwell I'm used to seeing is much more confident, much more aggressive, and a lot more positive with his actions. Today it felt very negative and felt like he wasn't really giving us everything he could. So, not sure why that was, but yeah, he looked off his game today for sure. Fernandez looked still pretty good in the midfield. He's definitely not showing that same level that we saw against Liverpool, but he is still showing his quality throughout the matches right now. I feel like the Liverpool performance was the top of his game, and right now he's somewhere in the middle from what I saw against West Ham and today. So overall, he's not bad. He's keeping the ball moving well. He's got some great passes in behind, but it does feel like there are moments where he's a little lazy on the ball, or he's a little slow to get it out from under his feet. Defensively as well. I know he was a little bit more forward today, but even when he got back, it felt like there were moments where he wasn't quite choosing his moments to put pressure on the ball very well. There were too many moments where it felt like he wasn't quite ready to go, and he should have gone. Something along those lines. So the defensive side of his game is definitely something he's got to grow a little bit more. But definitely on the ball, he looks, for the most part, what we wanted to see out of him. Caicedo, on the other hand, it's funny because when you get a new player in, most of the time, especially when you're getting him from another league, there's that growing period where you just, Premier League is new. You got to get used to it. It's a different type of league. The pace, the strength, all of it, especially in the midfield, you got to get used to it. He's coming from a Brighton club. He's coming from another Premier League side. He should know what the Premier League is like. He's been playing in the Premier League. He knows. And yet he doesn't look like he knows what the Premier League is like. He's so easily just bodied off the ball, gets it poked off of him way too easily. Defensively, he's slow. He's behind the pace. He looks nothing like what a Premier League midfielder should. And we broke the record for him. Explain that to me. I mean, he doesn't even look half the player that Fernandez is, and I don't even think Fernandez is worth what we paid for him. So I do not understand. I do not understand what the transfer team saw in Caicedo, why we paid this much for him. I don't know what our recruiting network looks like, but they're awful. The fact that we, got rid of Hall and kept Cucurella is something I'll talk about more in the transfer thing, but some idiots right now in our transfer office that are running the things and making all the players, we're getting into best players, and we're getting in these guys that are rated so high on FIFA. Let me tell you, yeah, that's how we do our recruiting, guys. We look at FIFA, and yeah, we're getting some good players. But yeah, Caicedo today, wasn't awful. Definitely is not what we paid for him. He should be running that midfield as much as we paid for him. He should be absolutely just winning every ball. He should be keeping the ball moving so quickly. He doesn't do any of that. He looks slow. He looks like he's not strong enough in there. Gets, again, the ball bodied off way too easily. It's not good enough. I do kind of wonder if Bowley is secretly like a Brighton fan, so he's just way overpaying for their players so he can fund them and let them, go get all these great players that they're recruiting very well. Because, hey, ever since Bowley took over, Brighton has just constantly gone up and we've constantly gone down. So I'm not saying it's true, but I'm not saying you can't prove that I'm wrong. just throwing that out there. And then Gallagher was the other one in the midfield. Don't know why we went with 3-5-2, because we sort of want to be a little bit more attack-minded at home against Luton, but sure, let's have 5 midfielders today. But Gallagher, he played a little bit deeper today than I think he's been playing. Most of the time he's sort of getting up and back. Didn't see him doing that as much today, and He's not that type of player. I've said it before. Said it for Potter last season. He's not good whenever he's dropped deeper, whenever he's picking the ball up deeper. That's not his game. And yet, we still keep trying to do that with him. Don't know when Pochettino is going to realize that he's better utilized up front. But, yeah, it's just until he figures that out, we're still going to see him giving the ball away a little too cheaply back near our defense. And it's going to be concerning. So, but I mean, he still works hard off the ball, so it's something I will give him. He will always have that to his game, and I do appreciate all the hard work he puts in off the ball. I just wish that we had a manager that could see where players need to be played. Sterling today, of course, man of the match by far. Not even just because he scored 2 and assisted 1, but he looks the player that he was for City. You know, he looks so much better under Pochettino. He looks like he's found life in him again. He looks excited to play. He's taking on players. He's winning the ball, you know, in a 50-50 challenge. Now he's scoring goals as well. Yeah. If not for him, I mean, this game would have been totally Luton Town, 100%. But he single-handedly brought us into this match and kept us going. Basically took the game away from Luton as well. So, yeah, I'm hoping he can keep this up. I'm hoping he can keep playing like he is, because we need his performances to continue if we want any chance of making a top half of the table finish right now. And then Jackson obviously got himself a goal today, but still just nowhere near what we saw against Liverpool. Against Liverpool, he was looking like he was going to be one of the best strikers we've had. And then here against West Ham, he's one of the worst strikers we've ever had. And now he's somewhere below the middle. Not quite as bad as like Murata or Lukaku, but not quite as good as, you know, Werner, who I know a lot of people didn't like, but man, the guy could work like nobody's business. But yeah, I mean, obviously getting the goal will help his confidence a little bit, but it just feels like he's not got that same energy level and that same willingness to take on defenders and run with the ball, and the confidence really to do it that we saw when he played against Liverpool and what we saw in preseason as well. So I don't know where that confidence went after the first game, but maybe getting the goal will change that. We'll see. So that's just, I hope he does, because I mean, obviously right now, striker wise, we've got him. Broja is not quite up to full fitness, and then after that we've got Burstow, who he's young and obviously didn't play a whole lot today, so I can't really talk about his performance. But the other two subs, Maatsen came on for Chilwell. He was the second one. That one just, give Maatsen a bit of a run out, see how he does, and didn't see a whole lot of him. Honestly, I was hopeful after what we saw in preseason that maybe this would be his year to sort of grow into the team and come off the bench, be effective for us, but he doesn't even look that right now. And then Ugachukwu, he came on. I guess they decided they wanted to pack it in after the third goal, because bringing off a striker and bringing on a midfielder tells me that you've gone to a 3-6-1 basically. But he looked okay. Nothing phenomenal from him, but he didn't do anything wrong. So it is what it is. Obviously he's young as well. So, but yeah, overall, again, it's a win. Especially because of last season, because of the wins that we got last season and those moments where it's like, yes, we're back on track. And then the very next game that was proved that we were not at all back on track. We were nowhere even near the track. We were well off it. I saw enough in this match that got me concerned for the rest of this season. And again, the injuries are something that once the players return, that'll be really the true test to see where are we. Are we top half of the table? Are we challenging for Champions League? Are we anywhere in that? Or are we going to be, again, sort of mid-table, possibly bottom half of the table again? Because where I'm seeing us now, I'm seeing maybe a little bit higher, maybe 11th instead of 12th. I don't see us finishing anywhere near European spots with how we're playing at the moment and with the players we have. It just doesn't look convincing. And I know that's probably a bit negative, and some people might hate me because you think I'm negative. I was right last season about Tuchel, and then I was right about Potter, and then I was right about Lampard. So maybe I know what I'm talking about. But I do hope, because obviously we got this one, and then we've got AFC Wimbledon and the Carabao Cup. So those are two matches that we should be winning pretty comfortably. So we did the first one. Hopefully we do the second one as well, and I'm hoping that gives everybody a bit of a confidence boost to the point where now we start to get into a bit of a rhythm and we start to be, that momentum starts to grow. Because we did see a little bit of that early on with Potter, where we did win a couple matches and we did look pretty good, and we did get that momentum growing, and it felt like, okay, we are going to have a good rest of the season. But, of course, when the momentum stops, it stops hard. So, we'll see what happens, but yeah, that's about it for me. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on today's match? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.